You got a couple of minutes? My Bible's open to 1 Kings chapter 17. Elijah's going through a dry period in his life. In fact, it's 1 Kings chapter 17 and verse 7, in which it says here, and it happened that after a while that the brook dried up because there had been no rain in the land. So the little white space between verse 6, which describes how God was feeding Elijah every single day, morning and evening, bread, fed by ravens and meat. Of course, he had the brook that he was drinking from. But now 2 years have gone by, 2 years of this drought. And what had been this natural water supply was now dried up. It's gone. And so, can you imagine what Elijah must have been feeling like after 2 years? So what, has God forgotten me? Has God forsaken me? I mean, I've been in hiding now for 2 years. He's got an entire universe to run. Maybe he doesn't even know where I am. Have you ever found yourself going through a dry period of life? Have you ever experienced a Brook Cherith drying up in your life? Well, of course, we all have. I mean, for some it may be a job that, my goodness, I love this job. The culture of today and the context of today and the work environment of today may dry up. Maybe you've lost your job, maybe, along with others, a pink slip. This brook that you loved is now dried up. Brook called a job, employment. It could be relationships. Relationships that have been invested in for years. Dried up. Could even be health. Health taken for granted, perhaps, of just this vibrancy of life and joy and physical activity, and now it's dried up. The health just simply it's not there anymore. And you see, the human tendency is that we go through these dry spells of life, because we all have a Brook Cherith experience. We all do. And look, the human tendency says, well, yeah, maybe God's forgotten. I mean, has he forsaken me? Has he forgotten me? He's got other things going on. It's just me. Listen, my friends, there's just no. Hey, look, do you remember the illustration that God uses in Isaiah of a mother with a newborn baby? Ask the question, well, what, do you think that this mother could forget this little child, this new birth of life? Of course not. I mean, and how do you think I'm going to ever forget you? Well, of course not. God says, I will never leave you. I will never forsake you. You see, when we go through these dry periods, just like Elijah, there's this element of trust. Because you see, what Elijah didn't know at that time was that God was already preparing, through this little widow of Zarephath, a way of providing for him. But Elijah didn't know that. All Elijah knew was, look, the brook is dried up. I'm going through this dry spell. See, that's where the element of trust comes in. Because God says, I will never leave you. I will never forsake you. My God will supply your needs. So as we go through these dry seasons of life, just like Elijah, there's this element of trust. Well, God knows what he's doing. God hasn't left me. He hasn't forsaken me. He hasn't walked out of my life. He's there. He'll always be there. But there's one element of dryness I haven't referred to yet or suggested to you. But it could be that there are some that are going through a dry spell when it comes to the spiritual realm and element of life. It's just dry. Maybe it's not just what it used to be. It's not the same. So hey, look, this is what I suggest to you. So we're entering into the season of Christmas. Love Christmas. So we celebrate Christmas. So Jesus was born in a little town called Bethlehem. Do you know what the name Bethlehem means? It means house of bread. Jesus is born in the house of bread. Jesus would later declare himself to be the bread of life. You see, God provided for Elijah bread every single day to sustain him physically. Every single day, morning and evening, bread was delivered. All he had to do was to take it and eat it, consume it. That was the nourishment. See, God provides for us the bread every single day. called Scripture. So listen, because we're so close to Christmas, this is what I want to suggest for you to do this year. I want you to go out and buy yourself a gift. Buy yourself a brand new Bible, wrap that Bible, put it on the Christmas tree, Christmas Eve, Christmas morning, whatever works for you. Take that gift, open it up, and then begin a journey in Scripture. Just like Elijah received every single day bread from heaven, you can experience every single day bread from heaven. Jesus born in a town called Bethlehem, house of bread. Jesus declares himself to be the bread of life. God provides for you and for me this bread that we can consume every single day. Dry spells. It dries up. We all experience it in life. But what do you say, like Elijah? Let's just keep trusting God, because he is providing. You see, in your future, there's a widow of Zarephath that God already has been preparing for you. And let's just make sure that every single day we are reading and consuming this bread of life every single day. God bless you. Aloha.